Welcome to the Sports Betting Preview Show, a pregame.com podcast. This is segment 3, and we're going to take a look at Orlando-Boston, the Eastern Conference Finals. I'm your host, Marco D'Angelo, joined by Vegas Runner. It is Tuesday, so Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals is being played tonight. What we're going to do is talk about Game 1 and how we see this series moving forward from tonight and into the future. Boston went into Orlando, Game 1, and really, and I got to admit, me included, I didn't think Boston would be mentally ready to play Sunday coming off of dispassion, the Cleveland series. Nobody expected Boston. I think there's people that thought Boston could win that series, but I don't think they thought they could beat Cleveland in the fashion that they did.
No, I agree with you 100%. I'll be honest with you. I backed Boston in Game 1. The reason I wasn't that worried, to be honest with you, about them just having played that Game 6 was because the way they won Game 5 and 6. Like, they didn't kill themselves. It didn't come down to a last-second, desperation shot in them Game 5 to get it to Game 6. It was like Cleveland quit. So they didn't have to exert as much as an Eastern Conference Game 6 would. So that's why I wasn't all that worried. They didn't seem that beat up to me. And Orlando was off for a little while, so they might be a little rusty, I was thinking. Now going forward, I think we're going to have a nice series between these two. I'll be honest with you, Marco. It's no secret. I gave out my Morning Moves newsletter yesterday, and it was all about breaking down this series after Boston went up 1-0 and how I believe there was value on the adjusted price. I like Boston to win this series now. I think you win Game 1 on the road. Chances are, at least probability historically tells us, they have a very good shot of winning this series. And I mean, Garnett didn't even go off. He's been doing so well offensively lately, and he did absolutely nothing in Game 1. It was all Ray Allen and Paul Pierce, and yet they beat Orlando. So I think they're going to pose some problems, man.
Now, we talked about in an earlier segment the Lakers in Phoenix about, the layoff, how it would affect the two teams. Now, in that series, both teams had the long layoff.
Sure.
Obviously, in this series, we didn't have that. You had Orlando with the long layoff, but Boston had to turn around after, beating Cleveland on Thursday and start this series on Sunday. Do you think that Orlando sitting around, that it ended up breaking their momentum? They were as dominant as a team could possibly be in the Atlanta series.
I don't think. Of course, it's going to break your rhythm up a little bit, but I don't believe that was as much of a problem as I think they started believing their own press. One of the things you've taught me to pay attention more to since we started working together, that teams all of a sudden
sit around and start reading their own press clippings
of how good they are, and they start believing. And they're even better than they are, and they don't think they have to give 110% every day. But when every athlete on the floor is elite, you have to bring 100% in your A game, or you're not going to win. And I think Orlando saw that. Boston's loaded with talent, and even though everyone's telling them they're the best team left out of the four, they're just not going to show up and win, not against an experienced team like Boston. So I think it was more that than the momentum. Although it might have something to do with it, because it's true. The last 4 teams that swept the first 2 series actually lost their next series because of the fact that they started believing they were that good.
Well, obviously, and we're talking again on Tuesday, we don't know the outcome. It's a must-win for Orlando.
I agree.
And Vegas is going to make you pay a price for that. The number's going to be higher. It was 6.5 in Game 1. They're laying 7.5 in Game 2. Vegas knows where the public's going to come with their money because it is the must-win. let's move beyond. And Orlando can even the series and not cover. So, that's definitely...
they could win the game straight up. You're right.
Moving forward, let's say they do get the win and go back to Boston at 1-1. Now, it's still anybody's series, but now it's just home court has flip-flopped. And, you still have the scenario like we had in the first 4 games of the Boston-Cleveland. They split on each other's home floor.
Right.
This Orlando team, do you think that first game can act as the wake-up call and, they realize, hey, we are in a battle?
I think so, because I don't jump on and off bandwagons quickly. And before this series started, I actually wrote another morning move about the fact that I thought Orlando is the best of the 4 remaining teams, and I would make them favored over anyone left on a neutral court. That don't mean they're going to win the NBA Finals just because my power ratings say that. With that said, though, I think they're good enough that this could be a wake-up call and you awoken a sleeping giant. With that said, the reason I was willing to take a bet on Boston to win this series is because I don't think this is going to be an easy series. Mm-hmm. And by being able to get plus money on a team that's already up 1-0, I figured along the way I'll find opportunities to earn if it goes, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7 games. So, I think Orlando has the capability to come back and win this series. Absolutely. They are still the best of the 4 teams. I'm not going to change my opinion on that.
I think psychologically for the Orlando Magic, not only was it a detriment to sit and wait, I think mentally when Cleveland got eliminated, it's like, woo! They handed you the keys to the car to drive to the NBA Finals.
Yeah, now we're playing the old team who didn't do much of that much in the regular season. I mean, come on, let's tell it like it is. The Celtics are pretty much undervalued.
Orlando had trouble with Cleveland all year.
Exactly. They didn't want to meet them.
They didn't want to have to go through Cleveland to get back to the NBA
Which is
Finals.
what they thought they would have to do.
And when that's gone, it's another thing that I talk about in handicapping that, emotion, and I know that when me and RJ discuss this, we see totally different on us where people don't bring 100% focus all the time. And RJ's stance is that this is the playoffs. You have to be focused.
I agree with you, because sometimes you have that false
sense of security,
of extra confidence that really isn't there. And I think that happens. Just like, let's just hypothetically say Phoenix beats the Lakers. If Orlando advances, once again, you don't think they're going to exhale and say yes?
Yeah, they don't have to face
the Lakers again?
It's almost the same concept of when we talk about the injured player theory, where
you step up your game because my star is out.
Right, and on the flip side, the opponent
thinks he's gone. Exactly.
When
got an easy night.
When Cleveland got eliminated, it was like the star players over the line.
Yeah.
So
I agree, man.
I think that Game 2. Again, we're taping on Tuesday, so Game 2 is going to be a major indicator of what's going to happen the rest of this series. Orlando, if they show up tonight, make a statement, play their game, even this series 1-1, go back to Boston, then this is going to be a series that I think will definitely go minimum 6.
I agree.
Most likely 7, but we'll see what happens. If Boston just continues, and sometimes it happens, a team just gets peaks at the right time and just goes on the roll, that they can, it's like a hot shooter.
Tonight, there's going to be this series ain't going 6 or 7.
No, I agree with you. So there you have our take on the Boston-Orlando series. I got a coupon for you quickly. If you saw our This Week in Vegas video podcast, we had a special guest this week. It was one of our forum members, Pool. And in honor of Pool's appearance, we're going to use the coupon POOL, P-O-O-L.
Like the swimming.
and the number 10. Just put pool 10. You get $10 off anything at pregame. Just put it in the shopping cart in the coupon code. And if it's $10 VR,
on the house, baby.
On the house. Hey, thanks for watching this week. He's Vegas Runner. I'm Marco D'Angelo. We'll be back next week with the podcast. Remember, you can always download and listen. Go to iTunes, search pregame.com. Talk to you next week, guys.